Hi guys, welcome on this live. If you're watching the replay right now, you're in for a treat. I have a guest today coming in, which is Dan Kraft, a friend of mine, and I'm Clara, if you don't know who I am, and hi Dan. And I create Chinese medicine and acupuncture content for practitioners and students. Dan, you just need to ask me to come on. So I'd love to bring you on. Let me see. I'm just trying to get you in. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Come in. You should be able to come in. Hi guys, welcome. And again, if you guys are watching the replay, I'm just having, yay!
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, I'm doing so well, you guys. Thank you for joining us, everyone. I am super excited. I'm just trying to make sure that everybody is coming in, that Dan is coming today. You guys, if you don't know this young man, because he's a young man, his story is amazing. So I'm really pumped up to hear your story. Dan and I have met, and we haven't met really met. We've met virtually. I know, it's like, but you make so many connections online with people you meet virtually. I've made so many connections with other acupuncturists, with acupuncture students, with everyone that, is interested in what I do. And we connected because your story to me is amazing. What you did was amazing. And because a lot of people always have questions about chronic pain, what can be done for chronic pain. We talked about it last night when, people will come and say, I have to have surgery. Do I really need surgery? Do I not? Right? What are the options? So today I wanted to introduce Mr. Dan Kraft. And I would love for you to start at the beginning with your story to allow us to understand where you're at now, but what happened to you to change the course of your life. So go ahead.
Absolutely, and thank you for having me. And so my name is Dan. I'm a body worker and rehab expert. And so I work with people who are struggling with pain, who've gone through all the traditional methods and have not seen any results. And so I do have quite an interesting background that led me to this journey. And so it really started, I'd say, when I was 11 years old. There's a program in the U.S. called the DARE program. It's called Drug Abuse Resistance Education. And they came to our school talking about bullies. And I was 11 years old. I was thinking to myself, I don't want to get bullied in middle school. And so I went home that summer and thinking about what I was going to do. There were like two 10-pound weights in the living room because my dad worked out. And I picked up the weights and said, maybe if I bulk up, they won't pick on me. And so I started doing arm curls. And just from that, I fell in love with working out. And so then at 12 years old, I said I was going to be a personal trainer. And so I got a really early start. I used to wake up like at 6 a.m. before school to go work out. And then while I was very antisocial growing up, I had a lot of anxiety. And so while other kids in high school were going out and socializing and partying, I had books on muscles, and I was literally studying the muscles. And so I definitely got an early start. And then through high school sports, I got injured a lot because I had a really bad posture, and I was always solving them myself. Like I remember one time I started having IT band syndrome. And I'd been reading some running books. I knew exactly what it was. Went to the doctor. I was like 15 years old, and she was shocked that I not only didn't know what it was, but I diagnosed it correctly myself.
I love it. So, that's awesome. You're like, let me show you what's going on with my body. I wish, I wish they teach more in school on health, on preventative health, because they don't, we get the basic stuff, but we're not taught life skills to understand anything, how the body functions, how the body recovers, the preventative medicine. We don't talk that much about it. Like it's very surface, and that's too bad. And fair enough. I mean, obviously there's a curriculum to follow, but yeah, so I'm glad you did that. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and I agree because, I studied kinesiology in college, because I continued the path to be a personal trainer. And I remember the nutrition class, they told us what calories, what protein is, what carb, what a fat is. They did not give any advice on how to integrate that into a lifestyle. And even like through my kinesiology studies, because I studied anatomy, physiology, still they did not teach us how to really apply it. And like I got a B in anatomy in college, which is ironic because I'm like an anatomy whiz now. And but like when I like left college, like my anatomy, like aside from like knowing different muscles because I was interested in that, like my anatomy was not good. I learned everything when I started working, when I started to realize the power of that knowledge and how it could be applied. That's when like really started to open up for me. And so I started working at Equinox. For a lot of you may know what Equinox is. It's a very upscale gym. They have really good education. That was my dream job coming out of college. And so that was like what I went into. And so the story gets interesting about 9 months into it because I got really into corrective exercise. I'd fixed my posture. I was really into solving muscular imbalances. I'd sometimes get people to me who were in pain and who had gone to ask them what they're doing for it. They go to chiropractor that just adjust them every week. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. And then the person goes to the PT and like, okay, what exercise is the PT giving you? And they show me this pamphlet of the most like generalized exercises that you could get. And I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. And then I do some corrective stuff and the pain will go away. I'm like, how is a first-year personal trainer being able to create better results that someone's been doing for 15 years? I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And it was really confusing me for a while. I was like, and I was someone who doubted my own gifts. And so to me, it wasn't like, oh wow, maybe I'm a genius. It was like, man, these people must be really dumb.
You're like, what's wrong with you? Do you not understand this? But you had a really good understanding, and I think you had an understanding because you started so young at 11 to be passionate about how the body function and everything regarding specifically the musculoskeletal, but everything that's related to your body. And there's something I just wanted to share with you that because I know there's a lot of people that are acupuncturists or acupuncture students, so people that are interested in that as well that are on the call today or on the live on IG, on the live. Is in acupuncture school there's different schools, but most schools and regulated area we do get, of course, anatomy, surface anatomy, all physiology, etc., because we have to understand the body. We're piercing people with needles. But what a lot of schools don't offer is cadaver lab. And I've done cadaver lab, and I wish that everybody is comfortable enough to go and do that because it really shows you how deep you can go with a needle, how thick muscles are, how thick everything is, the joints, the ligaments, and they really show you, how to layer. They actually take the layers of like the rhomboid, and you can just take it out and see how deep it can go, so it doesn't scare you to needle someone, but at the same time, it gives you an understanding of like how deep you should not go, so you don't, go and do pneumothorax and induce like piercing of the lung or pneumothorax or something. So it's really cool that you were interested in that because I think it's really important that we understand the body well to be able to prevent and heal it, right? So that's the idea. So go for it.
I agree. It's you really have to understand the body, and it really just takes extensive work, and it takes real life application and just having that actual experience of it. You can't just read from a book. You need to learn your own body, get a sense of your own body first. And then once you have good understanding of your own body, that awareness will then transfer to other people because you realize that all bodies fundamentally work the same.
Yeah. Awareness. Yes, we have to be aware and totally pay attention. And and sorry you guys, because I know there's men and women and everybody in this on this live, but for male patients that I have that come in, and so because you're a male patient, you're not a patient, but you're a male as well. My male patients are definitely less body aware than my female patients in general. So I love when male patients are more aware of their body and what it means and actually listen, because most male patients don't do that. Do you know why, or why do you think that is the case?
That's an interesting question. I think it just has to do, if we're going to go a little bit esoteric, I think just masculine energy is just more about doing. So we as men, we focus more about getting things done. Like that's where I'm driven to do, is to get things done. And versus the feminine energy is more about feeling, embracing, accepting. And so I think that we tend to find that the women tend to be more kinesthetically aware, have more interoception. They're just more aware of their bodies, while the men are just so focused on what needs to be done, how to make more money, how to do this and that. And so I think that's probably a big part of it.
Yeah, fair enough. So what happened after that? What happened to
Yes.
you?
Yeah, so this is where the story gets pretty crazy. So, 9 months in, I meet a guy at the gym. He's a member, but he's been surfing. He wants to get into instructing surfing. And so I said, okay. And so I go with him on surfing lessons, meet him, another coworker. And so this is my first time ever surfing. And so we're in the water.
Okay.
First time ever. Yeah, which is pretty ironic. But,
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, so 2 hours into it, we're sitting on our board, and a wave comes out of nowhere. And sitting on your board is not the best thing to do. We're literally straddling the board. And so there's nowhere for me to go. So I tried to get out of the way. I go to the left side, my bike's under the water, my head doesn't. The wave hits me in the side of the head, throws me back 20 feet. And I get up and I'm dazed. And so I'm like, okay, I have a concussion. Okay, no big deal. I've been concussed before. I've been knocked out before. So this is not that big a deal. And then 2 days later, I was in a car. Me and a friend and I were driving to go get tacos. And anyways, I was actually, he actually, when I got home from work, I was really tired. All my symptoms were almost gone. And I know my roommate had a friend there. He's like, hey, let's get tacos for Taco Tuesday. He's like so excited about it. And I'm just really tired. And you know, like when someone just comes at you with so much energy and you just don't really have just the energy, you don't have the energy to resist it. So you're like, okay. And so my intuition told me, don't do it. But I gave in. And so that ride, my roommate was driving like 45 in a 25 zone. The road's really choppy. And we hit a storm drain that was popping out of the road. And the car bounces up, and I feel something split in the back of my head, like internally. And from that point on, that's when things went downhill. The next day I woke up, my symptoms went from a 0.5 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10 pain.
Wow.
And then from there, driving to work made things worse. Commuting, or any little bump in the road, any sudden movements. And so all of a sudden I was getting headaches and concussion symptoms literally every day. And so I went to the emergency room, went to different doctors, and told me, just concussion, just rest, you'll get better. So that's what I did. I rested. I even had to try to make my job work, but that kept getting worse and worse. I ended up having to quit my dream job that I worked so hard for.
Wow.
And so that was very devastating, having to go back home and live with my parents, and which wasn't exactly the most positive environments, even though like I love my family and of course they love me too. Like it's nothing crazy like that, but it's just not positive environments. And so started living there, and which was very humbling, being independent, being free, and then going back. Not a fun experience. And then saw more doctors, more specialists, and just told me the same thing. Just concussion, just rest, you'll get better. I'm like, all right, I've been resting for 6 months now, and I'm not getting better. Clearly, there's something else going on here. And they're like, nope, just concussion. Basically, you're tripping. They didn't say it that way, but like basically is what they were saying.
So
and
they never did imagery, any kind of MRI or anything. They just said concussion from the get-go, but never actually checked.
So they did a CT scan at the very beginning, but that's all they did.
Okay.
And of course, Fred, as you know, and so for disclaimer, so it turned out, people watching, I had a broken neck. And nobody seemed to pick up on that. And,
Wow.
And so by the time I realized my neck was broken, I was already 3 months out of pain because I created my own rehab program and had realigned my neck myself, thinking that I had an instability issue.
Right, you had a concussion, instability.
Yeah, and so I got mocked by the chief neurologist at Kaiser because I said maybe there's a blood flow issue. Like there must be something going on. Maybe there's a blood flow issue. Like I've worked long enough with the body. Like I understand that things don't just happen. Like symptoms don't just continue for no reason. And right. he mocked me and gave me the smartest answer of how that couldn't be the case, and pretty much just completely disregarded it. And basically, it seemed like he was sneering at me. It was
wow.
And it's funny because I read a few years ago that actually you can actually, if the atlas is misplaced, it can actually cause a blood flow issue to the brain.
Yeah, that's why there's a lot of chiropractors that focus just on atlas, right? Nothing else. That's their jam.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's a big deal. So it was just crazy that, one, he said that, two, he gave me that smart ass answer, and two, just got no real empathy from people there. And so, and I've
So you
moved
had
back.
a broken neck for 6 months.
Yeah.
Like, once you found out that it was broken, it's been broken for 6 months, but you were slowly doing things on your own.
When I found out my neck had been broken, it was 22 months after the incident happened.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So the doctor thing was 6 months into it. I learned that I had an instability issue in my neck 12 months into it because I saw a physical therapist who told me that I had what's called cervicogenic headache, which means that you have a headache coming from your neck. And then the PT didn't work. And then when I went back to him, he said, I don't know, and had trouble naming the anatomy of the neck. And when I asked him about it, he told me, he gave me the excuse that he'd been out of school for 15 years. And so I didn't know I had it. So that was 12 months in. And so I was pain-free after 19 months because I did my own rehab and I worked through my anxiety. I figured out how to resolve my anxiety, which was causing a lot of instability. My TMJ was really bad, and so I had to resolve that. And then I had to create an exercise that integrated a fascial connection called the deep front line. And so the good thing is you guys are acupuncture students, so you guys like meridians. So I have a poster of anatomy trains behind me. And so I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
And so there's a fascial connection called the deep front line. And it's even crazier if you Google the cadaver, because you'll literally see it's the arch going all the way up into the adductors, into the pelvic floor, into the psoas and deep core, to the diaphragm, through the lungs, goes up into the face and into the tongue. And so a lot of times, people in the fitness industry debate, what constitutes the core? Where does it start? Where does it end? Some people say we'll say like torso, the collarbone. It literally goes from the arch of your foot all the way through your body to your tongue. And that
that's the kidney meridian? Just saying.
That's what meridian?
That is the kidney meridian. The kidney meridian starts from the arch of the foot all the way to the root of the tongue. Oh. So it's fascinating. That's why I love this. This is awesome.
Amazing. Okay.
I know.
This is just what I learned. So the book is called Anatomy Trains by Thomas Myers. It's an amazing book. If you're looking to learn more about the anatomy, but not learn about it in such an isolated way, because what Thomas Myers did is like when he started dissecting, he noticed that everybody would cut across the joints. They would cut across the wrist, across the elbow, across the shoulder, and then you see all these different muscles.
You're right.
And so Thomas Myers said, what happens if I cut alongside?
Yes.
And then he saw everything was connected. He saw all these different meridians. And so it's similar. I know acupuncture, there's definitely some overlap with acupuncture and with the meridians that they integrate. And I know there's a few different ones too.
Sorry to cut you off. Penben asked, can you repeat the name of the book again so she can write it down?
Yes. It's called Anatomy Trains by Thomas Myers. Let me put it in the chat.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Anatomy Trains. Yeah, because I know we say things and then it's like, oh, please. Thank you, Penben, for your question. That's awesome. For people who are watching the replay, we'll have the book name under as well. So you guys don't miss out as well. So thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because that's exactly how meridian works. In the surface way, it's just not cutting, like you said. It's just more the length of it, right? Which is so much better. Thank you. Anatomy Trains by Thomas Myers. You're very welcome, Penben. Thank you guys for your question. That's awesome. Thank you for being here. So continues. Let's continue.
Yeah. And so my intuition told me that even though I didn't know my neck was broken yet, that I need to reconnect my neck to the rest of my body. I felt like my neck was just detached. Because what literally happened is I would look up, my neck would do this. Like literally, it would just do that. Like there was no stability in the front here.
Oh, okay.
And so I read like while I was doing my research, the longest colon muscle, which is a deep neck flexor in the neck, and boxers use it to pack their chin so that they stabilize the head and don't get concussed as much. And so that muscle is the most commonly injured muscle in whiplash accidents.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
See, I didn't know that. Okay. Okay.
yeah. And so that was through my research. And so when the head snaps back, you're stretching out the longus colon muscle.
Which
And
makes
so that
sense.
muscle,
Totally. Yeah.
yeah, so that muscle becomes unstable, and then you lose stability in the front. And so I was trying to activate that muscle, but it wasn't having success. I YouTubed it and just wasn't having any success with it. And then, so I had to invent my own exercise, but it still was having some issues because every time I would get anxious, I noticed that different muscles would actually compensate and take over. And so that's when I started to realize that when people have anxiety, when they have stress, it literally changes the way the muscles fire and which muscles the body chooses to fire. And the deep front line, which you know is the kidney meridian, is only active when you are in a parasympathetic relaxed state.
Right.
And so when you're relaxed and deep breathing, that's when that system is active. But when you are stressed out or anxious, your body is sending signals away from it and say it's your big muscles to contract so you can fight off that danger or run away. And that line becomes inactive. And so I had to figure out, like, how do I activate these muscles? Because I was having so much anxiety. You know, I feared becoming brain dead because I had 15 concussions at least in those 19 months.
Wow. Wow.
Just because every little thing, because boom, like all of a sudden get concussed. And I think part of it might have also been I had probably a vestibular issue as well from that. But I was just getting, every time I'd like move quick or even hit a bump in the road, I was so sensitive to bumps. Like I'd drive like 20 miles an hour in a 45 zone just to mitigate the symptoms. And while everyone else is passing me and honking at me and turning like, what the hell's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you, old man?
Exactly. I literally felt like an old man because that was like the way I had to live. I had to live like in slow motion.
And that's the thing too, right? When you're in pain, when you're seeing that the recovery cycle is taking forever, and then you sit back and, you know, the anxiety ramps up, the stress, like the hopelessness, like I'm never going to get better. Like, I lost my job that I was, really excited about, and all those things happen, and the anxiety ramps up, and you don't sleep well, and all those things affect each other because they're all connected. And so, I could see that being really tough. So go for it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you guys, when it comes to pain, it's not just about the intensity of the pain. It's the wondering if this thing's ever going to end. Because if I told you, hey, Clara, you're going to have to suffer with 9 out of 10 pain, but it's only going to last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you'll never experience the pain again. Would you be able to get through it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You're like, yeah, it would suck, but I'll be able to get through it.
That's why women have babies, because they know the pain will end once the baby's out, right? Like exactly. You know that for sure.
They know it's worth it, yeah. And then there's a great reward at the end, right?
Yeah.
But if I tell you you're going to live with a 5 or 6 out of 10 pain, but it could go on indefinitely. There's no telling when it would end. Oh, man. It's a mind fuck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the other thing is that it's relentless. It doesn't stop. There's no breaks, there's no vacations. Some people do have intermittent pain, but when it's chronic, like it is every single day, all the time. And so no matter how mentally strong you are, how tough you think you are, like it just continues to wear on you every single day.
Yeah, so, I can see that. Oh my God, that's the problem with pain, right? It's like chronic pain gives you depression, anxiety, hopelessness, feeling like there is no end in sight. 100%. Yeah, and that's the tough part, because every time you're anxious, you're depressed, you're feeling you can't sleep, and your thoughts are taking over. It's not helping the pain. It's counteracting the healing, right? And that sucks. It's a vicious cycle. Yeah. Totally.
And there's like the stress makes more pain, and then more pain equals more stress, and then they have more stress, and it goes even more, and it just adds on.
Yeah, like trigeminal neuralgia. Acupuncture says like trigeminal neuralgia. It's the same thing. Like the pain that comes in your face, and you feel like it'll never go away. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. And a lot of times, when we're getting solutions, a lot of times we're getting like one-dimensional solutions. A lot of times we're getting one. I feel like pain is a process. Like it's like, like building this amazing following you had, like writing a book, like it's a process. It's not just it's not just you put picture, picture, picture. You know, there's multiple steps to doing it. You have to create the concept, you know, then write it, create the pictures, get it published, all that stuff. And a lot of times when people are in pain, they have a multi-step process that they need to go on in order to get out of pain. But a lot of times the solutions are very one-dimensional. It's like, okay, we're just going to do a massage. Just get a massage every week. Okay, right. Just do chiropractic every week.
Yeah.
And so lots of people...
Or just do acupuncture, right? Like, it's the same thing. It's like I always say to patients and to everyone, for any disorder, your healing journey is physical, emotional, and spiritual. If you just think it's one, you're not going to get there. We need to address all three. And it's a journey. You're right. It takes time. But we need to address the emotion, the spiritual, and the physical body, everything, right? So,
100%.
And I know you really understand this and really grasp this, which is really cool because you weren't, you know, your whole training was very Western, conventional, you know, anatomy, physiology. To me, it's very Western. It's not Eastern, you know, at first. So for you to go into what most conventional medicine people would think is like, oh, it's physical, right? Or there's something happening emotionally, but it's not connected, right? And for you to see that connection, I think that's fantastic. So, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I appreciate that. And, you know, I was always someone like, I think because I had a really bad relationship with authority growing up, I didn't like subscribing to like any like sort of methodology. And so like no matter like what I was told, that I didn't really like it. And so I just kind of listened to my own body and my own intuition. And I think just because I started so young that I just kept following that route. And the more that I followed that route, the more things I started to see and become aware of. And, you know, even when when I rehabbed my broken neck, and I was not really aware of the emotional side, the spiritual side to a huge degree. I knew about anxiety, of course, but like I didn't really think of it in terms of like emotions. It's not like, okay, I'm anxious, I'm fearing the worst case outcomes, I'm fearing becoming brain dead and being in pain forever. I thought about suicide a couple times, then, you know, there were thoughts and considerations as well. So like I just didn't really think about it as an emotional, spiritual thing at the time, but since that point, the more I've gone into it, the more I realized that there is so much that on an emotional level, a spiritual level, and that really impacts the body. And if you don't address that, then you're pretty much looking at a limited solution. So we definitely have to look at how everything comes together.
Absolutely, I agree. It's you know, I mean, with Eastern medicine or Chinese medicine, it's all about a whole, right? The mind, the body, the spirit is not separated. And I think conventional medicine is starting to see the correlation. I think more and more people see it for sure. It's taking time because, you know, it's not something they looked into. They like you said, to dissect, you know, each part. This is the digestive system. That's how we treat. And it's like, yeah, but that's connected to everything else. It's not just an entity by itself, right? It's like we are connected, all of us together. We're not an entity, right? We are all connected. It's the same thing. We're connected, you know, some of us more or less regarding what we do, but we're all connected too, all around the world. And now with, you know, everything that we're doing, like us doing this live, we are even more connected because we can connect with people that we are like-minded, people that are, you know, really having the same passion to help others, because that's what you do now. And I really want people to understand what you do now, from, you know, rehabbing your neck, having this crazy, I would say, experience, even though it was an accident, and we can look at it as a negative thing, but I will choose to see it as an experience that brought you to where you are today, which is to help others. And there is nothing more rewarding and meaningful than having a purpose to help others. So this whole thing that happened to you, even though it was really hard and you had a really lots of low moments, you are here now to help others. And that's the best. That's the best. So can you tell us what you do now with this? So how you help others which have chronic pain, or with which, you know, help, have issues trying to figure out how to get out of chronic pain. And Penelope says, yes, everything is connected. Penelope, my sunshine, we are connected, girl. Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Go ahead, Dan. Yeah. What do you do now to help others? What's your jam?
Yes. So I'll start from the end of my story, and then I'll show how to develop, and then I'll go into what I do. And so, so I got out of pain December 31st, 2017. That was literally my last day in pain. And so I've been trying to get MRI for 6 months, but Obamacare in the U.S. was delaying the crap out of everything. It took 4 months to schedule the doctor, then 4 months to get the MRI, another 3 weeks to get the results. And so the first doctor schedules the wrong MRI for me. And so, yeah. So I have to go back, and so I go to the MRI place, and they're like, oh, we got a brain MRI. I was like, but I want a neck MRI. So I have to go back at the results, everything's turned normal, and go back to the same doctor, but he's now gone out of network. So now I have to go to a new doctor. It takes even longer. And so it took 6 months to get everything. So December 31st, 2017 was my last day in pain. By the time I get the MRI results, it's March, I think it's like March 14th or 15th. I think it's March 15th. And so go to the MRI place, and the neurologist comes out. She says, Dan, we looked at MRI. We found something very interesting. We found signs of an old DENS fracture, that's in C2, that has now healed properly. I go, what? I go, what? And she's like, yeah, we were surprised because we didn't expect to find anything. I said, yeah, me neither. And so I was just so confused. But after the confusion, it was just like, wait, you're telling me I had a broken neck this whole time? And not only that I have a broken neck, but that the rehab I did healed it fully. I was like, what in the world? And so that was the point, because I told you before, I kind of disregarded my gifts and thought that people were stupid. So that was kind of the first step. I was like, wait, that's not a normal thing that people do. Maybe I do have something here.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. And so I just thought, and I thought afterwards, man, there are so many people who are in pain, who must be going through the same thing I'm going through, who are not getting the answers and the resources and the help that they need. Because I mean, I had I had some natural ability that I was able to use, but what about these other people? And so that really led to my mission of man, what I went through was freaking horrible. And it sucks that other people are going through that too. They must be, if I did. And so I want to help those people and want to be that person. And so that thing was certainly the worst thing that happened to me, but at the same time, everything that happens to you can also be turned around, because the strength and the adversity and the resolve you get and the lesson you learn from that can then be channeled and used to something really positive. And so I started helping other people in pain. And so I help people who are struggling with pain, who have gone through all the traditional systems, have not seen results. I'm generally not the first person people see. I don't think I ever have been. I'm usually the last person people see. And so I work with all systems of the body, from the muscular system to the nervous system. Now I even work with the emotions, even the lymphatic system. I even work with daily habits, work with the digestive system. Whatever systems is that they need help with, that is really struggling the most, that is where help with. And for most people, they're just really stressed out. And they're really stressed out. They have anxiety. They have past trauma. They have bad habits. They're sitting in poor positions, sleeping in the fetal position or on their belly or other things of that nature. And because of that, their body is going into pain. And so I help people identify specifically what's going on, and I provide the solutions to help them fix that. And so I basically do everything, because I was a personal trainer before, did corrective exercise, so I can do the structural side. And then I also do now some of the physiological side, the stress side, the emotional side. And so whatever the person needs, I pretty much create a strategy, a solution, a process for them to get out of pain, so they can live free and live independently and be able to just, have a fulfilling life again.
That's awesome. I love it. And I love that, a lot of people that do physical rehab or physical therapist or therapy, they don't incorporate the emotion aspect. They don't incorporate everything else that needs to be addressed. Like we said, it's a journey. So I love, that's really why I connected with you. It's because you are putting everything together. It's not just one entity. Yes, you have all the knowledge when it comes to, you know, what position, what posture, what exercise, all the physical, but you're not leaving out what's creating more and more issue, or could be there for a long time and pre-accident, or, you know, it could be chronic pain that people, like fibromyalgia, that people didn't have an accident. And, you know, what is the root cause? And the root cause could be the emotional aspect. And you always make sure that you look at that as well. And that's so rare. So that's why I love what you do. And I agree that even though it was horrible what you went through, the universe basically gave you this for a reason. So you can go and make it your life mission to help people that are in pain. So I think it's all for a purpose, and it's all good in the end. In the time when you're in it, it's not good and you can't see it. But once you're out of it, now you realize and you see how you're there to make a difference in people's life. And on top of it, not only that, but you can relate to them because you've been there. It's not like, you know, when someone comes to somebody and they're like, oh, I have headaches. If you've never had a migraine or a headache, it's hard for you to understand how bad that can be for people, right? But once you've been there, you really can relate and understand at the core what they're feeling. So that's really cool. I really appreciate you sharing that. I just wanted to say hello to Vandana Kohli. Thank you. I really appreciate you being here. And Priyanka, I cannot answer your question on floaters and light sensitivities without knowing more. But usually in Chinese medicine, that is called a blood deficiency, which doesn't mean necessarily you're anemic. It just means that there's something out of balance that you're missing. But it's really hard for me to answer without having a whole picture. So someone was asking about floaters and light sensitivity. So I really appreciate your question, but probably not today. So I always want to make sure I acknowledge everyone that came today. Check out Dan's profile, Mr. Dan Kraft. And check out, you can just click on the top here just above me there, and then you'll see the little down arrow next to Healing Pain Naturally, and then you'll see him in there as well. Go check him out. I think I really appreciate you coming, sharing your story, because when we do acupuncture, we do deal with pain, and I have a lot of people that will come for pain, chronic pain. But once I start talking about the emotion aspect, a lot of people get surprised because they always say, my doctor never mentioned that, right? Yeah. Nobody's ever told me that. And I know when you are saying, you know, people come to see me as, you know, I'm the last person they see. Often acupuncturists could be like the second last, or sometimes the last as well, because they've tried so many things that it hasn't worked, right? So it's great that people can take their health in their own hand and look for support, and found someone that they connect with really well, and someone that actually has been through the whole journey, you know, because if you haven't been, you know, I've had doctors that are, and I'm sorry, I know you're a guy, but that are male doctors telling patients of mine after 3 miscarriages, oh, just keep trying, it'll happen next time, don't worry about it. You just lost 3 babies and don't worry about it. I was like, what the, right? But that's the insensitivity, and the fact that maybe this person never had children, doesn't know what it is to be pregnant, you know, like all this insensitivity. And I think what's great about complementary medicine, what you do, what I do, is that we are listening, we are taking the time, and we are really wanting to support. I think sometimes, you know, in conventional medicine, it's quick, because they got to go, they got so many people, they got to go. And it's not to put it down. It's just that, you know, they're not looking at the root cause. They're just treating the symptoms. Whatever is happening now, we'll treat it. Here's the medication. Here's what we could do. But they don't look at the root cause. And that's something that we're missing. So that's what we're bringing, right? Like, that's what you bring. And Vandana Kohli says, hi, Dan. Great. You act as a painkiller.
I'm a painkiller.
He's like the ninja, super painkiller. That's awesome, you guys. Any last thought before we close this live? I really appreciate you coming in today, by the way, because I love your story and what you do. So.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some good last thoughts? I would just say, you know, the body, you know, recently think I saw something yesterday where someone posted something was like the body does not heal when it's not safe, and I think that so much. You know, the body is designed to heal. I believe that anything that happens within the body can be resolved within the body. Because if it wasn't there when you were born, that means it happened at some point. But the body naturally wants to heal. And so when people are not healing, there's a specific reason why they are not. And a lot of times it can be from stress, anxiety. Because when you're stressed or anxiety, your body's in a fight or flight response. And your body is trying to survive rather than repair itself. Your body only repairs itself when you're in a parasympathetic state, or rest and digest. And so for most people, just getting back to a place where they feel safe is how the body will naturally start to initiate a lot of its healing processes. And a lot of times, even structurally, sometimes, like, especially if they have, like, say, spine or knees, like, there's so much rubbing going on that's causing wear and tear faster than the body can heal. We see that with, like, degenerative disc disease, and we see that with sometimes cartilage issues people have. So the body wants to heal, but sometimes there are obstacles in the way that are preventing healing from happening. And so it's just a matter of figuring out what those obstacles are and then moving those along. If we can do that, then the body will heal because it wants to do that anyways. So that would be my final thoughts.
You're absolutely right. I so agree. The body does want to heal, and you're right. Not feeling safe, feeling like we're carrying the world on our shoulder and taking care of everybody else except ourselves, all those have to be addressed in order for the body to heal, because otherwise we're never coming out of it. So I really appreciate you sharing that emotional aspect. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Dan. Omi, thank you for the love. I'm glad you enjoyed the conversation. Vandana Kohli, same thing as well. Thank you very much, you guys.
Thank you, Omi, Megan.
Yeah, for everyone, check out Dan's profile, and you guys, wherever you are in the world, keep smiling, keep trying, keep helping others, because that is also what makes us feel good and great, right? So just helping others and making a difference, even if it's in one person's life, that is going to, you know, make a huge impact on everyone. So Dan, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
And Ben, thank you, guys. Thank you, Mr. Dan Lopez as well, who says thank you, Clara and Dan. There's a Dan here. There's another Dan. We got two Dans. So thank you very much, you guys. Have a great rest of your summer or winter, depending on where you are, up and down. And we'll chat soon. Bye.
Yes. Sounds good. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.